Give us a holler. Give us a round of applause for Joseph Moore.
Hey everyone, how's it going? You good? Good. So I just wrote mine quite recently because I try to make it a bit topical, keep my finger on the pulse, as I like to do. And this one's about the recent the results of the election that just happened like 10 minutes ago. Labour lost real bad, but I'm a big fan. I voted for them, but that didn't help, obviously. But so I've decided to do mine about Phil Goff and kind of what's happening to him right now. So this is my Phil Goff fanfiction. Here we go. Phil Goff, the leader of the Labour Party, set up his rickety stepladder at the base of the arched entrance of his middle-class everyman house. Insignificantly and uninspiringly, he climbed the steps and pulled the large, red "Congratulations, Phil" banner he had put up himself that very morning. The house was empty. His wife, whose name no one ever bothered looking up, had taken the kids to her mother's, fearing another episode. Breathing a hardly noticeable sigh, Phil took a slice of butter from the beehive butter statue he had ordered earlier that week and smeared it onto some French bread. He popped open a beer with a bottle opener that played Celebration by Kool and the Gang when you used it. He slouched on the couch. An hour later, Phil woke to the sound of his iPhone going off in his jacket pocket. It was the oldest, shittest kind of iPhone you can get. He was stoked. No one had contacted him in days. Hi, Phil Goff, the text read. A friendly reminder from Video Easy Ponsonby. You have overdue rentals. Please return them ASAP. They had misspelled Goff as goof. Phil stood up and gazed around his empty house. He looked at the other banner in the corner that read, "Well done, mate." He looked at the celebratory feast, untouched on the hired faux Corinthian columns. He looked at the pile of John Key flyers that he had stolen from letterboxes in a last-ditch desperate campaigning attempt. He looked at the big bowl of success punch, and he threw his shitty iPhone into it. Phil Goff's mole prickled with rage. Fuck this, he thought to himself. I deserve to be the Prime Minister of New Zealand. That's my little political rant in there. And with that, he marched into his basement. There it stood in the corner, enormous and round, covered in an old quilt like a rustic patchwork zorb. Phil pulled the cloth away, swiftly like a matador, and when the dust settled, there it stood before him, in all its brass steampunk glory. Phil Goff's time machine. Phil was not a fan of dirty politics, and he had hoped that it would never come to this. But let's be honest, it had come to this. He opened the curved side door and hopped onto its sleek leather chair, pulled the lever and entered the date he wanted to go to. A bolt of lightning descended from the sky and went through into the basement of the Goff residence. The steel arms that cradled the giant orb began to rotate faster and faster and faster. Light erupted from the base of the contraption and Phil Goff held onto the handles tight. "Here we go!" Phil yelled to no one in particular, as the machine disappeared into nothingness like bathwater down the plug hole. 4 weeks ago, Auckland, New Zealand. In an explosion of light, Phil Goff appeared in a small hillock near the base of Mount Eden, and he set about campaigning all over again. But this time, he knew what he was doing. He knew what questions Guy on Espiner was going to ask him in the debate, and he slayed their questions. He came up with all the good puns about the infamous teapot tapes before the media could even do it. Most notably, storm in a teacup. His speeches were elegant and well rehearsed, and he had his mole surgically removed. But still, he got caned by National. So Phil Goff tried again. He got in his time machine and went back a few more weeks. This time, he went to Tauranga and boarded the freight vessel Renner. And as it stormed towards the coral reef, he broke into the bridge and ripped the wheel from the drunken captain. Time for you to get Goff this ship. And that's, if you didn't quite get it, that's a pun where he uses Goff instead of off. But I've noted here that Phil's strengths were more in centre-left politics and time machine building than wordplay. So, yeah. Anyway, Phil steered the ship to safety and there was no oil spill. And the people of New Zealand cheered. But Phil wasn't done. Zip! Phil went back a few more weeks and dove into the Kapiti Sea and built Happy Feet the penguin and put it back on course so it went to Antarctica instead of New Zealand and saved the country $80,000. Zip! Phil then travelled back a further 9 months and single-handedly evacuated the city of Christchurch just in time. The last child boarding the escape bus as the city crumpled behind him. Zip! Phil Goff travelled to 1985 and had every single French person removed from the country, setting off a long and noble career for the mighty Rainbow Warrior ship. Zip! Phil coached every single All Blacks team to victory at every single World Cup. Zip! Phil went to 1840 and rewrote the Treaty of Waitangi so everyone was friends, and then he made all the whites and blacks... Oh, blacks? Ugh. I'm so sorry. I was going off script. The Pakeha and Maori people. I got really into it, I'm so sorry. He made all the Pakeha and Maori people get married, and they created a super race of half-caste talented people that became the 100% of the New Zealand population in the future. Then, zip, Phil Goff stopped the mighty moa from being hunted to extinction, and everyone domesticated them and learned how to ride them, and then in 2011, everyone's still riding moa to work, and it's awesome. And then, zip, he went back to like 1000 BC and he stopped the volcano erupting that made Lake Taupo into Lake Taupo. And there's no lake there anymore, but there's like thousands of amazing animals like from an Avatar, because they were there before Lake Taupo volcano erupted, and now they're still around. And zip, Phil Goff went to 2004 and edited out the middle hour of Peter Jackson's King Kong. And then he killed Hitler, and then he came back to 2011. And everyone knew who he was, and everyone thought Phil Goff was the most amazing person in the entire world, and he still got caned by National. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Joseph Moore, everyone. Wow. That was topical as fuck. That was great. Panel, let us know what you think.
It was great. There were so many nice things that happened.
Elaborate on the nice things that happened.
Yeah,
It's quite tragic, actually. Really,
yeah, but then he got the time machine and then he fixed it all. So I reckon, answer life's problems, give Phil Goff a time machine. Also, it was good to finally have a political story, you know, that's not super hard to understand.
Yeah.
He used all the political parties that I am aware of.
Good. Over to you, Joseph. Give us your thoughts.
As a member of ACT on Campus. Just kidding. I'd kill myself if I was. Once again, continuity asunder, but and I felt like you could have used more pronouns, Joseph.
More pronouns.
Yeah. You just said Phil Goff like shitloads.
I was creating power through repetition.
Well, some would say that.
I have to diffuse this. Thank you very much, Joseph. Good job.